Good evening, travelers of the night. Welcome back to The Stranger, where the immersion of an audio drama meets the chaos and uncertainty that is Dungeons & Dragons. Today, we are going to be entering combat for the first time in a while. I think everybody here probably has some shiny new toys they want to show off. So good for us. Today we're joined by Shane as Trevor.
A juggernaut with a chest full of rot, looking for a penny for his gunshots.
Matt as Nihilus.
Adjunct with Auriculius Noctifuror.
Asteria as Dr. Glass.
Sometimes a moist cave battle map is just a moist cave battle map.
And Ari as Esperanza.
Near, here, and ready to spear this mountainous fear.
Hey!
Ooh. And last but not least, we're aided in our next major combat. Surprisingly, he was here for the last as well. Vander.
Penny Dreadful. More like Penny Deadful, am I right?
Whoa! Hey!
Calm
This
down.
guy.
Campaign ends here, folks.
Yes.
I can't do this anymore. I'm just
We've punned out.
I think we should get into it. A damp, musty sewer, and the smell of rivers of wastewater, excrement, all pours to a central drain. That drain, well, that's a well-known entity for the Citadel. Its sewers pour out onto the mountain. There's no clever way to discard of our waste here. It pours down the side. That sewer in the center of this camp that you're in, of makeshift tents and houses, specifically made to wait for your approach. Because Penny, that devil, he has been looking for Vander. And why is he looking for Vander? Except that he wasn't stolen from once, but he was stolen from twice. And the second time, right under his nose. As the musty, damp air beads sweat on your skin, Dr. Glass, you lean against this wall. You see as Trevor, he approaches a door to pick it with a set of lockpicks given by Vander. And as you look across, you see the toilings of thugs in this camp. Some on watch, some not. But you feel something. You feel something deep within you. Whereas something was missing in the past, in that space, something is approaching. And it draws you. You feel your consciousness yearning to go inward, as if being beckoned. There's no harm in glancing, and you know that with certainty. What do you do?
There's part of her that's still dwelling on the fact that she named this entity Desperation, and that it accepted that name. She's thinking about her own silenced, is the term she would use rather than repressed, silenced fixation on that, on how she's spent most of her life trying to avoid that, only to come here and be reckless as hell. But Esper had given her that power, that confidence to name it in that way, so she confidently, perhaps recklessly, looks, checks in on her giant, frigid friend.
As you close your eyes and look beyond, you see your space, the void, the nexus that you can cast people through. Typically, not transcend yourself. In the distance, you see this grotesque shadow of a creature with one appendage and a single spiked claw that strikes into the ground. It's the size of a mountain, and it pulls itself closer, and at first when you look at this space, you just see darkness. But you think for a moment to look up, because this creature the size of a mountain drawing nearer is taking up all of your vision. It's towering over you. And with 3 more strikes of its claw, it will arrive. You know that for certain. And above table, that's 3 turns of combat. 3 full rounds. And at the end of the last round, it'll arrive. Desperation.
Sounds like a good thing.
It's like a surprise party.
Maybe he's nice.
Before you turn your attention back outward, were you doing anything else, Dr. Glass?
I don't try to take it in with my vision, since I can't. Sight has never been Nightjar's thing, but I do try to hear it. The way all of her metaphors have been sound-based. Circle of Whispers. She's always talked about her whisper self, that other part of her, as an itch beneath the fabric of her mind. And I'm wondering, Wes, since what happened with her soul, does she still feel that? Is that part of her gone? Is it stronger, duller?
Please roll insight with advantage with a DC of 18.
So flat because of exhaustion.
Yes.
14.
Your whisper self. That's clearly your Nightjar, your specialness. It's what makes you special, and it's probably what makes Lord Felix Royce, Eirik, all of those people special. What you lost was something different. It was something that binds you to that mortality, that humanness of you. And whatever this is, whatever terrible thing this might be, despair, it seeks to occupy that space.
Ah.
But what that means, you don't know. Or maybe you do. Maybe you can assume. Dr. Glass is an inquisitive mind after all.
One more question I have, which if I don't get an answer, that's fine. But it's something I've been wondering since last session. When we first had trouble with this pesky mountain, and it was throwing boulders and skeletons at us and targeting our weaknesses very specifically, you said it felt familiar and prankstery, and at the time, like me. Does it still feel like that was me, or does it feel like that was this?
With a 14, what's formless and shapeless sometimes can be beyond understanding. Its actions in the mountain don't outwardly feel, or rather, this creature coming towards you doesn't actively feel funny in any sort of way.
No sense of humor.
But
no playfulness.
It moves, though rhythmically and steadily towards you, with a deep sense of urgency, as if there's one more bus leaving the station, and if it misses it, it'll never leave.
The last thing I'll do before I hop out is, with all my psychic might, I will focus on one mental image that I will try to send to desperation. And that is of the hunter. That image of me at the bottom of Dredgewell's building, looking up at the hunter having rent it in two with his mind, with that absolute pure feeling she felt of how powerless and insignificant she was compared to the hunter as he looked down at her.
With that last bit of energy, you cast that image into the void, and hopefully to this creature. And as you open your eyes, you see Trevor and his lockpicks float through an illusory door, striking an alarm. A single bell rings as instantly you hear Penny stand from within the tent that he's in. And I need everybody to roll initiative.
Let's go. Disadvantage.
I rolled in advance and I forgot.
You got a 9.
Yes, thank you.
With exhausted disadvantage, that is a 5
Interesting.
for the good doctor.
Esper rolled a natural 20, but this is with disadvantage. 19 instead.
Vanda's got a 14.
4.
Okay, I have all of your rolls. Esper, 19, Vander, 14, Trevor, 4, Nihilus, 9, and Dr. Glass with a 5. Esper. Sitting in this camp, the air of stillness and tension immediately shifts. You can see some of the goons at the tables, they throw their chairs back as they stand up, grabbing for their weapons. You see the footsteps behind the tent flap of Penny, and from him, a menace, a power with each step. And in this moment, Esper, you are the fastest, the most observant. You look around, seeing the moment that lockpick floats through the lock. You see that in that moment, it's about to become crazy in here.
It was simple in Esper's mind. If we get caught, it's time to get to work. Esper is going to haul it over to Penny. And in doing so, just after Esper, it seems like the air around them flexes. And for the first time in front of us in the tangible space, growing from that flex of air and turning dark, the smoke of the shadow that everybody met in the Nexus that was familiar to Esper manifests in echo form. Just about 10 feet behind where Esper ends up going for Penny. They are going to make an attack against him. They are specifically going to make a trip attack against him. A second Esper.
And as the air around you seems to gather, as the smoke that comes off of these rivers that flow seems to float up into this, as energies all gather in one space, your shadow manifests.
Alright. And to note, Esper does not seem to notice that this had happened. They are too busy taking the sword that they had come out and swinging under as they rush into the tent, and they're going to try and use their sword to trip him up off of his feet. I believe that will be a strength saving throw from him.
Okay. That's a 16.
That passes. He is not tripped, he is not knocked prone. But I still rolled a dirty 20 to hit him.
That hits.
going to be a total of 9 damage as I still rake the blade of my sword across both of his calves.
You strike at his calves. His armor takes a majority of the blow, but you can see some of it scrapes through as blood spatters onto the floor. Vander, Abigail is currently on your shoulder. You can put her down as a free action if you like, or you can fight with her. Just know that she will be vulnerable in both cases. She could be a target as well, if your enemies decide to.
Yeah, I'm aware. I know Nihilus said something about keeping her safe, and he hasn't done me wrong yet. So I'm going to put her down, and I'm going to draw my bow. And as I do so, I'm going to shout out, Penny! Doesn't have to be this way. We're just trying to get by. Don't want to cause you no harm, but if you get in my way this time, I will end you.
Now, this is inside of the tent that Esper has entered. He is obscured to you at the moment. It would be with disadvantage.
Can I hold my action to fire until I see him?
You certainly can. You're holding your action to fire as soon as you see him as the trigger. Are you doing anything else?
That will be it for me.
Esper, as you run behind Penny, he looks like he's about to leave the tent, but seeing you round his side on the inside, he first turns his attention to you. Now, I need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
Is it an effect that I can see coming?
You see as Penny, as his visage starts to become dark like shadow, you see an illusory, shadowy head appear in the space of his body, and you see the eyes glowing green as around your feet and everything around you within 10 feet starts to shimmer with a fiery green energy. Go ahead and roll your dex save with advantage.
That'd be an 8.
Esper, this fiery green shimmer at the ground starts to rise, burning at the tent, lighting it aflame as Vander, you will in a moment see Penny because the entire tent is about to burst up into flames. But the first thing that happens is the flames start on the inside. As Esper, I need you to take 21 points of fire damage and 9 points of necrotic damage as these flames in a radius around him erupt into the sky, lighting the tent ablaze. And Vander, take your shot. And don't miss.
Don't plan to.
You hear, as you're taking that shot, an absolute shriek of pain inside the tent.
It's going to be a 19.
A 19 will hit. Go ahead and roll your damage.
Awesome. As I hit, I will use my ranger feature to mark him as my favored foe for additional damage.
Okay.
Good thing you gave him that advice, Wes.
That's 7 points of damage from the longbow, and then an additional 4 points of damage from favored foe.
You strike him. This time the bow strikes through his side. It sticks out of his abdomen, and he turns his head towards you. Now, Vander, it's time to balance the books. And he snaps it off and throws the stick to the side. As it's now the turn of the barrage of other thugs in the room. Trevor, Nihilus, and Dr. Glass, you're the target of the mass of thugs in the room. They're scarred, disfigured, but they carry a lot of weapons on them. Some of them with bows, some of them with guns, and the rest with swords.
What? A harmless little G-MILF who never did any of them any wrong? Fine, they're okay.
I actually have no idea. I was thinking of a witty retort, but that's true. You know, that's very unfair of them.
They're not getting any script. They're not just trying to make ends meet. They're actual bad guys.
These guys mean business. They're really not nice.
Trevor. 20, soft, 19, and 16 to hit.
All 3 hit.
Nihilus. 19, 25, and 8 to hit.
My source protects me. I can't shield. And 1 hit, the 25.
The 25 is actually a crit, by the way.
I know, I hope.
And Dr. Glass, a 16 and a 13 to hit.
Prophylax. I also cast shield, and neither hit.
Is that a laxative?
I think it is.
It sounds like it now that I say it out loud. I've had this written down for so long. Prophylaxis.
Vander, a 23 to hit.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Trevor, 18 points of damage as 3 arrows fly across the battlefield and strike you.
Okay. This might be a little weird. Can I get the individual values of each of those hits?
You're getting the rounded medium.
You deflecting?
Yes. So what I'm trying to do is I'll take a few hits, that's fine, but I can use my reaction to deflect missiles.
Each one is 6 damage.
Okay. So I believe that'll reduce it to 0 no matter what I do, because it's my dex plus my monk level, which would reduce it by 6. So I'll take 12 points of damage. And since it was reduced to 0, I'm going to spend a key point. You see, as Trevor is trying to address the lock, it slips through. The alarm goes off. He starts hearing a full mayhem behind him as people start to mobilize, but he's still groggy. He sees Esper go into the tent, and then he hears her scream. Then takes an arrow to the back and goes, "Oh shit," and is just going to turn around, take another one to the shoulder, and the third one he's just going to catch in his hand with now the adrenaline that is coursing through his veins, and he's going to toss it back with a key point at the sender.
The third thug gets struck with this arrow in his chest. He looks down, dealing the full amount of damage. Is it 6?
So it's an 18 to hit, and it will be just 4 points of piercing damage.
As he takes 4 points of piercing damage, but as you caught the arrow and threw it back at him, the fear that strikes in this thug's eye is palpable, and he's already looking for what exits he might be able to take. That's number 3 who took 4 points of damage. Nihilus, you take 12 points of damage with a crit.
That hurt.
The arrow strikes, and Vander, 6 points of damage. Nihilus, it's your turn, and we're nearing the end of the first round on the countdown timer for Dr. Glass.
Oh, the bleeding away. There's a lot of them. Source, I need your divinity. And he points towards Abigail, and he casts Sanctuary. Ward her from safety. Anyone who tries to focus or target her now has to make a wisdom saving throw, or forced to be target someone else instead. He does this as a bonus action as he tries to use his exhausted movement to locate himself to a further away distance safely however he can, and he will use his action in order to dodge. As he ends his turn.
From the ground, a giant skeletal hand emerges and covers Abigail. Dr. Glass.
So Penny hasn't moved, correct?
Penny has focused his attention on erupting an inferno within the tent, but he hasn't moved. He is visible, though. He has burnt up all of his cover. Esper, she does not look good.
I already have subsumed thoughts active to everyone but Trevor, so I can probably speak to them in their minds as a free action, right? Like, if I say something short,
Oh, yes, yes.
get that fool next to the sewer drain. And I bonus action healing word Esper for 7.
As you cast Healing Word, you recall the suturing done by Dr. Hypatia Singer as Esper's wounds begin to close before her. What else are you doing, Dr. Glass?
And then for my action, I will reach out to my newly charged void-fueled powers and rain down some void flame to cast Sacred Flame on 2 targets, which is a particular ability I have, on 2 of the thugs, the goons, rather, nearest us. It's a saving throw, not an attack, so my exhaustion should not interfere. It is a DC 15 Dex save.
They both fail.
And they both take 8 radiant damage.
Sacred flame.
The flames that currently burn near Penny, a spark is gathered with your void energies. It's transferred across the field. This small little speck hits the ground underneath these 2 goons, and they erupt in flame. You can see they're both feeling very hurt right now as they're trying to pad out the fires that are erupting on their body. Are you doing anything else?
That was bonus action, and some psychic speech. I'm feeling like I got my money's worth.
Trevor, it's your turn.
Okay, things went from 0 to 100 right quick, and he's still working through his head why that door just disappeared. But now he's in full attack mode, especially when he hears Esper's scream behind the tent. So, with that, yeah, he's not worrying about any of the goons right now. He's approaching right to the entrance, running through the burning flap, knocking it to the side, sees Penny, probably still flames lifting off of him, and he is just, after just going to jump up and rearing back, deliver a punch straight to the nose. That is going to be then that would be a 22 to hit.
That will certainly hit.
7 points of bludgeoning damage. Having done that, spend a key point, and I'm just going to start wailing on this guy. That's another 22. Well, that's another 4 points of bludgeoning for him. And using my open hand technique, whenever I attack using my flurry of blows, I can have it so that a variety of things could happen to him. But instead, what I'm going to do is make it so that he can't take reactions until the end of my next turn.
Okay.
And I've still got one more punch. And that will hit with a 17. Dealing another 6 points of bludgeoning. So, as he doubles over from a gut punch, I am just going to now stand at full attention and deliver a 12 to 6 pointed elbow right across the back of his head to try and knock him for a loop. And all that time, I'm just looking over at Esper, assuming that they're not looking great, and just say, I got this, just run. Oh, I also forgot that since my punches now do sneak attack, just go ahead and add another 3 to that damage.
You hear a punch followed by a flurry of punches crack as the bones are breaking within this man. He seems to look through you, Trevor. His eyes are focused completely on Vander, but for the moment at that last strike, his attention can't be split anymore. It has to be on what's going on around him. Are you doing anything else?
That is my action, bonus action, and my movement, so that is going to be my turn.
Dr. Glass, you hear not from within your void space anymore that you'd entered previously to observe this terror, this despair. As if in the back of your mind, you hear almost in the same way that you might hear a psychic conversation, but this one comes from deeper. It comes from within yourself. And you hear,
So close.
Do we have Boris or Araculios Noctiforior on the field?
The familiar, the bat, is just on the ceiling, right now hiding as commanded, and Boris is around the corner in the cave, ready to take action when commanded.
Just curious. Dr. Glass is feeling a tinge of desperation.
This time, as its single spiked appendage strikes into the void to pull itself closer at the end of this round, because we're still in initiative order, you feel it as a stabbing in your psyche. And Esper, it's your turn.
How much did Trevor fuck him up by the looks of it?
Several broken bones, a bloody nose, the illusory image of his head, this dark shadow, split for a moment as he was being pummeled and then regathered around him. If you're asking if he's looking bloodied, not yet. And in a moment, it'll be his turn and all of those thieves, and they pack a punch.
Looking at him, at first there had been so many blisters and burnt away skin oozing all around Esper. Some of them have been healed up, but that face is so wrecked. There's pieces of charred skin and clothing around Esper, and she just looks up at him. You son of a bitch! Bonus action rage. She's gonna hit him.
Go ahead.
The shadow is going to come up as well. That was a 14 plus 2. That is 6 damage. Action surge, spearing him up in the thigh a second time. That is a natural 1 that will not hit. Unleash rage. The echo is coming in, and with an illusory shadow blade that looks just the same size and everything as Esper's, coming in to try and drive down into his shoulder. For 15, that's gonna hit for 7 damage.
How much damage was that total?
Total. So that's 15.
15 total damage as you strike with your sword, gouging at him, and then the shadow comes from above and strikes his shoulder. A stab and a stab as this man is now bloodied. He's looking quite hurt. The sword, as you pull it from his body, you see the blood now pouring out. And I just want to mention, though his goons may run, they also may not. And that's something that will be on a case-by-case basis for the number of people in the room. And Vander, it is your turn.
Penny, don't let your pride be the death of you. You can still call this off. As I shout that out, I'm going to whistle for Bandit. I want him to give me the help action. As I sling my bow across my back, look to this old fool of a man in front of me, and I'm going to attempt to shove him. And with help, I should get advantage on that, right?
Yes. Please roll with advantage. Bandit growls as you shove forward. So does Bandit jump on this prey.
So 16.
That's a 13 for me. As this thug is thrown into the bowels of the sewer, you just hear a scream as he descends and a splash and maybe a splat as it hits the bottom. And you've eliminated one of the thugs. Are you doing anything else?
I'm going to turn to the one next to me and I'm going to say, if you don't leave now, you're next. And that will end my turn.
Please roll intimidation.
So 14.
I'm just going to quickly contest that. You see, as they've already been singed by Dr. Glass, you see their scars and burns going up their leg, their armor doing very little to protect them from this. And you just hear, yeah, I'm gone. And he runs in towards the salt mines. Now, he's going to run out of your reach. If you'd like to take a reaction, you can.
I know what's waiting for him in the mines, so I'll let him go.
I preemptively added their action to dash, and they are in the mines. Are you doing anything else?
Gonna stand my ground and be protective of Abby.
Now, Vander. You're dead. And he looks towards Trevor, raising his hands before you, Trevor, as you see whispers coming from his mouth that are indescribable, unrecognizable. I need you to make a charisma saving throw.
Mm-mm.
That's going to be a DC of 18.
Christmas are never good.
You still have Bardic.
That's what I was getting to that. What's your bardic die?
D6.
D6. Okay.
Dr. Glass, you recognize the words coming from his mouth. Maybe it's your past education or experience. Nihilus, you too. You recognize some form of banishment.
What was the DC again?
18.
That is a 17 with the help of bardic inspiration.
Trevor, one moment you're here, and the next moment, that illusory head, that shadowy presence, it rushes towards you. And just as you flinch as it's about to hit you, you close your eyes and you open them. And you're standing in the ocean on the edge of the saturation. We'll get back to you in a moment. The other thugs, they'll go now. Esper, Dr. Glass, Nihilus, and Vander, you're all going to be the targets. Esper, 23, 15, 22 to hit.
All three.
Nihilus, 16, 11, and 10 to hit.
That barely misses as he blocks it with his natural shield.
You raise your shield, and several arrows, they all perforate the front of your shield. As the arrowheads are visible on the other side, that could have been your body. It's a good thing you had that. And Vander, that's a 17 in melee range to hit.
That hits.
Dr. Glass, that's a 13 to hit.
I'm not going to cast shield again. I will take the hit.
Vander, please take 6 points of damage as the thug standing next to you strikes their sword at you.
Gotcha.
Esper, 18 points of damage, and Dr. Glass, 6.
What type of damage is this?
Piercing.
Thank you, I have resistance.
That would be 9 halved. The thugs, on this turn, they're still going to do something. Those who have arrows, who have the ability to fight from distance, they seem to be choosing to do so. You notice there is some fear in the eyes of several of them. That's their turns. Nihilus, it's now yours.
Oh, that arrow hit me hard. Nihilus takes a couple of steps forward, gets closer to the battlefield, tries to assess it. He focuses his mind, and from the narrow cave which they come from, you hear a little bit of a clicker-clacker as Nihilus snaps his finger, as Boris, their skeletal friend, joins into the action as Nihilus commands him with his bonus action in order to jump down and whack at Penny with his pickaxe of a mine. Does an 11 hit Penny?
It does not. His AC is a 13.
Oh,
The skeleton tries to strike, and for someone who isn't so adept at the martial sort of combat, he's able to move his dagger at the right moment to deflect the skeletons.
would there be an opportunity for him to flank at his current position?
There would.
And that would give him an extra +2 to a total of 13.
That hits. Just as the dagger deflects, with a second quick swing, it makes purchase. Please roll damage.
For a total of 7 piercing damage as Boris, the skeletal miner, goes at it with his mining fever.
You strike, and this time you hear Penny scream as You deal an additional 7 piercing damage. Are you doing anything else?
Yes. For Nihilus's main action, he holds open Irik's red testimonium. He channels from it this pure energy. There's this glaring amount of light that arouses all around of Nihilus, and he shouts out, Marcere, Florenzere, as he casts Wither and Bloom. For a higher level, please make me a con saving throw for Penny and the ally that is next to him. DC 16.
Penny will save, but the ally next to him will not.
Even if they save, they would take half the damage. You see that Nihilus conjures this crackling lightning that strikes at the target and this field of flowers under it that suddenly bloom, and there's this surge of rejuvenation that goes straight towards Esper, as both the enemy targets and Esper all take and heal for 11 hit points, and halved if they make the save.
Awesome. The goon next to Penny, how do you want to do it?
There's these flowers that erupt under it. The goon looks, these are just flowers. It's these beautiful blue petals, and suddenly they just blossom. This is absolutely shocking. That just explodes from it, straight at his face, crackling his skin and burning it as he falls to the floor.
And you see as the flowers too rot and wither to the floor before him. Penny, how much damage did he take from that?
Rounded down to 5 lightning damage.
Okay, very good. Are you doing anything else?
Nihilus will move back into the corner, trying not to draw too much attention after that flourishing strike.
Dr. Glass, we're now nearing the end of the second round. It's your turn.
Dr. Glass. All right, Isadora, we are going to stave off desperation. Emotionally, and it seems literally. Your friends were not into your plan, that's all right. You probably should have seen that coming, but we adjust. And she gives up on her ideas for Penny and skips to step 2, and she casts Knock on the door behind her.
The bolt on the door behind you explodes with the spell of Knock. You hear the metal ring and echo down the far, far corridors of the sewers and into the salt mines. The door swings open with the force of this blast, and beyond it, you can see a narrow, much more narrow sewer tunnel that leads up to a drain at the Citadel. It's, in total, in terms of distance, it's 40 feet. Not from where you are, but from the door, making 60 total.
Great.
I always get Dr. Glass with things that require running and distance, don't I?
Yeah. My Achilles heel. Using my heels. Bonus action. Nihilus just did some awesome healing. I will use my telekinesis. I think only one of the thugs is within 30 feet, and it's the one quite near to me. I would like to telekinetically shove him into the drain, which is a DC 15 strength save from the goon, please.
Wilhelm scream.
As he's cast into the sewer and hits the bottom. Are you doing anything else?
Very little, but what she can. She is hoping that it is better for desperation to arrive while she is not here, at the very least. And she takes her 10 feet of movement towards the door.
With 10 feet, you can get to the door on this turn. Just past it. Just past the threshold, that is.
And she yells out loud, "The mountain is coming for us. I have to go."
I'm counting 50 feet remaining to the exit.
So only 3 turns if I dash.
Or if you get help somehow. That said, Trevor,
Hey,
you're standing in the ocean, standing on it. You know this place, you've been here. And just beyond it, you feel in your, I can't say your heart of hearts. Where your heart would be is where you feel this. The hag's presence.
Trevor still in fight mode up until the point where he gets hit with the spell. When he appears, he still stands up. And it's not until he feels the water at his feet. He looks out. Huh. His hands go down to his sides. All right. What's going on?
Oh, Trevor, you're back. Have you come to let me through?
No. I just, I was feeling, like my life was too good for a little bit, and I just knew that I had to come and visit.
I know where you are now, Trevor. I've done my reading. You're in a very dangerous place.
I made my bed. I get that. You got what you want, right? You took something of mine. Now, well, now I'm stuck in hell.
You hear that massive rap at the wall. One hooked hag fist striking as it vibrates the ocean and it vibrates the wall in front of you.
Okay, hey. Now listen. I ain't got no way to get out of here. So even if I wanted to, ain't no way I'm coming back. Only way you're ever gonna get to me is if you cross that line. So, if you want me, you're gonna have to be willing to do anything you can. Because I know you ain't all powerful anymore. So what are you gonna do about it?
Your words, they carry the long distance of the ocean. You know they're felt on the other side of that threshold. And I need you to roll a d20, straight, no modifiers, with a DC of 10 to determine what direction this story goes.
Gotcha.
A 10 and below will be the bad direction.
Okay. That's an 8.
Another rap at the wall. But something's different this time. As the fist strikes the wall, you see a god-sized fist sticking through this threshold, having pierced it. You think I can't get you, Trevor? Coming. And we will go back. As one more round has passed by, as Dr. Glass, this time as that dark appendage strikes the void to pull itself closer, you can feel the icy breath of the mountain on your neck. It is right behind you. It's so close, you can feel the looming behind you. As Esper, it's your turn.
You give him back! The Echo is going to unleash its rage again and make an attack.
The AC is 13.
That is a natural 20.
That's a crit.
Whack.
So that is 7 plus 11, that is 18 damage. As the sword is shoving its way into his midsection, Esther rolls up, grabs on his clothing, and she's trying to haul him over the sewer.
Okay, first of all, the sword strikes clean through him. You see it pierce the other side. You see a drop of blood run down his mouth, down his neck. And he looks like he's at death's door at this moment. And for his con save, that's a natural 1. As Trevor, you are ripped from this place. The last thing you see is the fist through the threshold as you appear back right in front of Penny, who is on death's door, blood dripping down with a sword through his chest, and Esper beside you. Are you doing anything else, Esper?
Yeah, that was the incarnation. That's the Echo's action that it can do. Esper still has an action. She is trying to haul his ass over the sewer no matter what. That is a natural 1.
Whoa.
Swings and roundabouts.
You go to grab Penny. Now he is a disgusting individual. As you grab onto his lapels and pull him forward, getting ready to throw him off the edge, that blood dripping out of his mouth, he spits it into your eyes.
Oh, disgusting. Trevor, we have to go. We have to go.
At the end of this round denotes the third and final round for this cosmic horror to arrive. Vander.
Esper, keep an eye on Abby for me. I'm going to,
Dr. Glass needs to move 50 feet and out of a sewer grate.
See, I don't know if I know anything about that.
I mean, I said, a mountain is coming for us. I have to go.
Could be enough.
I think I probably might have said at the end of my last turn that I'm not going to make it, am I? Get out of here if you can.
I think I'm going to make a roll for this for Vander. See what he does. Okay. How does Penny look right now?
On death's door.
Right. This is only going to end one way. Either I'm dead or he's dead. Y'all get your friend out of here. I got a job to do. And I'm gonna... I'm gonna fire at Penny.
Go ahead and roll to hit.
12.
1 below. Do you have any way to add one to that attack roll?
I thought Dr. Glass gave me a bardic inspiration, but I'm not sure.
I gave it to Abigail.
We gave it to Abigail. Okay.
You see as the arrow flies through the air and strikes at Penny's glasses as it rips the glasses off of his face and strikes the wall behind him. Now, Vander, I can call it even if you want.
That's all I ever wanted, Penny. You swear to me this day, my debt is square, he won't come after me or the girl.
My life is not worth 2,000 script 26. I swear.
I'm gonna hold you to it. Let it be known I'm letting you walk away. I'm trying to pick up Abby. And with the remainder of my movement, head into the sewer, following Glass.
You're at Dr. Glass in 15 feet. You have 15 feet more. Are you doing anything with that, or are you staying with her?
I can push past her, get ahead, I guess.
All right.
I think I'll do that.
You do so.
And that will end my turn.
It's over. Just let them go. And Penny is going to skip his turn, as with all of the goons remaining, who gladly will also skip their turn. We're still in initiative order because at the end of this round, it's here. As Nihilus, are you doing anything? Dr. Glass, if she's going to make it out, needs to make 50 feet of movement to the sewer grate.
As Nihilus clasps to his shoulder, which is currently bleeding from the arrows stuck into it, he uses his movement in order to get to the place where the illusionary door was, and he tries to look towards Dr. Glass and shout a bit from a distance. Shouldn't we all run, or is it you specifically?
Yes, we should all run.
How far away is it from this to...
Dr. Glass is 50 feet from the sewer grate.
Nihilus uses the last bit of his exhausted movement. He opens up once again his red testimonium, and he searches through his pages, and he looks for a particular spell that he has written in there himself quite some while ago, and with a happy smile he used it for the first time ever in our campaign as he pulls from this spellbook this intertwining magic that pulsates like a heartbeat. It's very volatile and moves all over the place, and he holds it into his hands, ready to shoot it out as he holds his action in order to do so, and not yet shoots it. And the trigger is, he will aim it at an ally who is in immediate danger, and it will point them to the safest place Nihilus can think of, as he holds the spell Vortex Warp.
Vortex Warp. That is so amazing and so important at this moment, as you're holding it as soon as an ally is in danger. Now, you'll know at the end of this round, Dr. Glass will be in danger. What that danger is may be not clear, but she knows that, and she's communicated that. So you're holding your action for the moment before the end of the round. Dr. Glass, it's your turn. You don't know anything about what Nihilus is doing. What are you doing?
Well, if no one's fired on me, I'm through the door after all, and I don't know that anyone's helping me. I just know that desperation is coming for me, and I know that I can't get that far. There's one thing I would try before I do. The last thing I'll try. And it's silly, but I'll try it. And I psychically shove this mountain of desperation to buy us a little more time. 5 psychic feet away to get another round.
You can make it a roll to hit, or you can make it a DC that I will roll. But you tell me, how are you trying to shove this entity?
I need more time. My friends just need more time. I have faith in my friends. We all just need a little more time. And with all of her will, she pushes and tries to push desperation back.
Please roll Arcana with advantage. Now what we're doing is I'm going to take half of that Arcana roll and I'm going to add it to the DC.
My Arcana roll is 15.
The DC is a 15. We added your proficiency modifier to make it an 18, and we took half of an advantage Arcana roll, making 7. Rounded down, this is D&D after all. That's a 25 DC. The modifier on his roll is... I know we're in a cosmic horror and this is an indescribable entity, but I can describe its strength as a plus 19.
Mine's a -3.
This is very difficult. If this entity rolls a 5 or below, they will fail and be shoved. And something else special will happen, but we'll see. Let's roll the dice. That's a 9. You connect your mind to this void space, and you shove. You feel as though you've hit an immovable object, and you, Dr. Glass, are not yet an unstoppable force. And so your shove fails. And you know, barring any other intervention, you will be overcome by it unless you have any other way out.
Resist psychic death is what Bikini Kill told me. Dissonant whispers, 3rd level dissonant whispers.
On who?
On desperation itself. DC 15 wisdom save.
This has to be a natural one. That's an 18, which is a plus a lot.
It takes damage on a fail. It takes 11 halved to 5 psychic damage, to which it's probably resistant. So 2 psychic damage. It doesn't have to move away from me. But I got 2 damage in on my way out. God damn it.
I'll give that to you. Are you doing anything else for your movement?
And I move 10 feet towards the grate. And that's the end of Isadora's turn, and as far as she knows, reality as we know it.
I'm just going to quickly ask, because this is technically before the end of the round, is there anything you would want to do, Trevor, before we move to Nihilus's held action?
Do I see that Penny, you said that he's giving up his turn. Is that indicated in any way from his body language? Is if I turn and walk away, is he going to take a swipe?
He drops to his knees, the dagger falls by his side, and he is surrendered. He surrendered himself to Vander.
Oh, well, that's a bit disappointing.
You can see that Nihilus is immensely focusing on a spell right now.
Well, hey, I might have missed a memo. Are we still killing this guy?
Preferably not. I do believe he surrendered.
Dang it. All right. He is still, despite the world that he was in not 6 seconds ago, he is compartmentalizing remarkably well. He looks over at Penny, goes, "Look at you, champ. It's awfully foolish of me to think that a thief would keep his word, but whatever."
Nihilus. You see, as Dr. Glass runs through the sewer as quickly as she can, it's not that fast. She limps, her leg still damaged from a boulder having rested on it. At some point, you see as she feels like she might not make it in time, she begins dragging herself until she looks up at the sewer, the grate at the moonlight. On Dr. Glass, you hear, "I'm here." As Nihilus, please use your held action.
The moment that he sees that Dr. Glass is running away, "Don't worry, I got you. By Saurus's command." As he's holding this beating heart of a transparent white light at first, and he lets go towards the general direction of Dr. Glass, it just disappears, and suddenly there's an energy blast that engulfs Dr. Glass. Now, if this is still this white, transparent light of Saurus, at this point even Nihilus is afraid. But it grasps on to Dr. Glass, engulfs her completely, gone. And suddenly, at the safest place that Nihilus can see in his vision, which is on the other side of any of this danger all around it, no foes, she appears again.
Dr. Glass, You're thrust through a universe of bones. They clatter around you as you feel like you're falling and tumbling. As you land on your back on a cobblestone street. Beneath you, a sewer grate. You hear the running of rails, trains in the distance, the walking of various citizens outside of this alleyway that you find yourself in. And just as you were about to feel that icy spike of the mountain, it disappears. You're safe.
She hears all that after she stops hearing her own screams and realizes that the spell transporting her was not desperation grasping her and devouring her.
And with that, we're in the Citadel. And that's where we'll end today's session.